Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلْمُتَوَسِّمِينَ, that there are signs for those people who have that insight, that deep ability to perceive and to see by the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, it's not some like secret equation, it's not something that you take a course for. It's literally an unrelenting pursuit of truth and the commitment to it when you discover it. That's all it is. An unrelenting pursuit of truth and the commitment to it when you discover it. And what ends up happening? وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive in our way, then we guide them to our paths. And so Allah reveals more to you and more to you and more to you. It's also not when someone seeks to say that I'm seeing things and starts to undermine revelation or makes claims and starts to command something amongst the people. No, because this person is not using that unfolding reality and perception to gain control over people, but rather to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by following the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So things become clearer. Reality becomes clearer to them. They're able to discern better. They have more wisdom. When they read the Quran, they take more from an ayah than another person takes from 100 ayats. Because they're listening deeply and carefully, not extracting new rulings, but extracting the deepest form of maw'idah, being admonished and being reminded by those verses. And so the greatest example of that is Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. When you look at Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and the miracles that unfolded for him, these things that would happen for him. When Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu is standing on the minbar and he sees something happening thousands of miles away from him. Ya Sari al-Jabal, Sariya the mountain. That was due to Umar radiallahu anhu's exerting himself in that pursuit of truth, unrelenting pursuit of truth, and then commitment to it when he found it. His deep pondering upon revelation. When the Quran would come down and agree with Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, it's because when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu would hear the Quran being revealed, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu would immediately absorb it and follow. He was in deep connection with that revelation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His seeing of dreams. Not dreams that, I saw something and so the day of judgment is going to happen in 2023. A strange star is going to appear in the sky. The Prophet ﷺ told me, you're the one and you go forth and none of that. But true dreams for the believer. That's an added level of sight, an added level of vision. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith in Sahih Muslim, he said, عليه الصلاة والسلام, إذا اقترب الزمان لم تكد رؤيا المسلم تكذب وأصدقكم رؤيا أصدقكم حديثا. He said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that when the end of times come, a believer would hardly see a dream that isn't true. The righteous believer will see true dreams. Dreams that give them insight. Dreams that further expose that reality around them. True dreams. And the most truthful of you in speech are the most truthful of you in the dreams that you will see. More vision. A heart that can see. A heart that starts to transcend. And so I want to end with 2 points here. There are 3 levels of the sight that the ulama mention with the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're very easy to remember. The first one is seeing through deception. Seeing through deception. And so a believer would see through the deception of Dajjal by their iman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would allow them to see that it's written across his forehead. There are things that the believer can see through by virtue of their minimal belief. And so seeing through deception is the first thing. And if you're not a deceiver, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the sidq, the truthfulness to see through the deception of others. The second level is seeing through distraction. So see through deception and then see through distraction. Zinatul hayat dunya. The distraction of the life of this world, the distraction of the material world from things that are more meaningful, from things that are more righteous, from things that are more real. So you see through distraction. How do you see through distraction? By the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dhikr is the medicine to that. You constantly remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you see through distraction. And the third one is to actually see through dunya. You see through this material world by placing your sight on the hereafter constantly. The akhirah is not some unknown abstract world that doesn't have any meaningful consequences to your everyday life in this dunya. Rather, you act as if you've already seen Jannah and Nar. You act as if you've already seen it all. Because it drives you consequentially. Now obviously the effect, the impact of seeing with your eyes is not like the impact of knowing it. But the consequence of it in regards to abiding by the truth of revelation, it's as if you have already seen paradise and hellfire. The longing that you have for Allah is as if you've already seen Him. The longing that you have for paradise is as if you've already seen it. So it creates that greater level of longing, and this is where the Prophet ﷺ said that ihsan is what? That you worship Allah as if you can see Him. When you start to worship Allah as if you can see Him, and if you can't see Him, then you know that He sees you. And as Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said, that is, the manifestation of that is what? أن تقبل على الله بقلبك قبل بدنك. That you come to Allah with your heart before your body. That before you even get to the prayer, your heart is already there before your body has arrived. And you are focused as if there's no one else around you, nothing else that's around you. And that is something that we all strive for the entirety of our lives, to have that level of focus in our prayers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that ihsan. May Allah grant us that excellence. Allahumma ameen. And dear brothers and sisters, subhanAllah, as you find people that embrace the truth, despite all of its consequences, I want you to think about people that put their families on the line because their families might reject them, that put entire lifestyles on the line, everything that they knew, because they've seen the light of that guidance on the line, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks to that person. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we have another sister that is embracing Islam with us today through very difficult obstacles and circumstances and many barriers, not necessarily hardship, but barriers that would be there. And that should be an inspiration and a reminder to all of us that when a person has a commitment to the truth, that the consequences will be put in context of that pursuit, and the reward will be even greater. May Allah grant her and all of us that reward. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our shortcomings, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us vision with our hearts and the ability to act upon that which He has given to us in the most loving and obedient of ways. Allahumma ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا واعف عنا ولا تعذبنا. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم اغفر لوالدينا رب ارحمهما كما ربونا صغارا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها. اللهم أهلك الظالمين بالظالمين وأخرجنا وإخواننا من بينهم سالمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على النعماء يزد لكم